let's start with training camp and the Eagles and a season which truly starts in a little bit over a month. But we're getting a taste now, pardon the pun, of the Birds, of the new offense. John, what has stood out to you? A couple practices in, and obviously a great chance to see stuff yesterday. What has stood out to you?
Well, again, the fact that Jalen has looked good under center, throwing across the middle, that was day one. Yesterday, Jalen once again looked comfortable, but the backs were out of sight. My first impression of Saquon Barkley was, wow, he looks slender. Wow, he looks faster. He looks, lighter, more explosive, which a lot of times you'll see this time of year, guys get in great shape for camp. We were told by Coach Sirianni how great the team was in shape-wise for the conditioning test. I thought Jalen Hurts not only sounded great, looked great, he looks even fitter than I've ever seen before. But Saquon also. But my big takeaway from yesterday was, holy cow, the West Coast offense loves running backs in terms of getting backs the ball in space. Saquon, the ball in space. Atari Bigsby, the ball in space. That was the theme of the practice yesterday. And I can't tell you, I feel like every back on our roster had a 50-yard run or more. I feel like every single back out there broke one. Even the fullback, Carson Steele, broke one for about 45 yards. Doesn't look like your classic fullback. I mean, the guy was clearly a tailback.
Oh, there is no classic fullback
anymore. But the point is, all of our backs looked outstanding, and Jalen feels so much more the unquestioned leader of this offense. This is the first obvious change that I'm seeing in AJ's absence. It feels like a cloud has lifted. And initially I think we all kind of felt that from the way Jalen was, behaving himself in the press conference. Holy cow, he feels happier. He feels different, lighter.
Yeah, he did seem happy.
And now it's it really feels like in AJ's absence, the West Coast offense is allowed to work. Remember last year, the year before, it was like, okay, we're going to isolate AJ. Yeah. If we get what we want on the outside, we're going to throw it to AJ because he's got single coverage or we feel like we can beat that. Now it's, hey, the path of least resistance, we'll take it. Whatever that defense shows us, we're going to read through it, and the open guy gets the ball. Yesterday, it just so happened that the open guy many times were the backs. Yes, we were handing it off to them. We're not in pads, so that's not a real accurate depiction of the way the blocking is going to look.
Right.
But the passing game to the backs, the check downs, we were checking it down. We had to check through. Over the ball, 5 yards over the ball. We had to check slow flat. We had flat routes being run. Beautiful catch by Atari Bigsby in the flat, busted it upfield for 70 yards. Bigsby broke run after run yesterday. Saquon also run after run. Like I said, every back on the roster looked outstanding because they're playing, again, the path of least resistance. Yeah. They're getting the check down. They're getting it upfield right away. And I'm telling you, Jalen Hurts has this offense already. It feels like he has an understanding. Things are, under control. It's simple. Things are simplified right now. There is a little bit more movement pre-snap, and I would like to see more Makai Lemon. There were times yesterday, Makai Lemon is number 9. Atari Bigsby is number 8.
Yep.
I thought some of those Bigsby plays were Lemon. Mm-hmm. I thought it had to be Lemon because Lemon's supposed to be out there practicing, making plays. It was all Atari Bigsby. Now Lemon is doing things in individual. I still need to see more from him in the team drills and things like that. But again, the West Coast offense can finally work. AJ's absence means that the guy who deserves the ball is getting the ball.
Well, yeah, I'm very excited to say it. It's going to be refreshing in the newness of it, and it's funny.
It makes us a better team.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was so tried and true in the NFL, and then a lot of teams started moving away from it, and the Eagles were one of them. But I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's going to be different. It's going to be very different. One of the things that strikes me, and this is going to be an odd analogy, but I remember when the Sixers moved on from AI, who obviously is one of my favorite players of all time, all of ours. But I remember at the time thinking, well, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. And they suddenly started playing, like, for lack of a better word, more team basketball. And I don't mean that as a slight on AI. I mean, obviously he should have shot more than others because he was AI and they were Matt Harpering, so to speak. But the reality is, all of a sudden, the Sixers, the Andre Miller, Andre Iguodala group, it just kind of looked more regular, for lack of a better word. And I think this Eagles thing, it's an important time for them to embark on, let's do something that's worked an awful lot in pro football. Obviously, the big thing will be, will Jalen take to it effectively? Sure hope he does. I think that it's good that they, drafted first and second round, essentially receivers, to try to offset the loss of AJ. They knew that was coming, and the decline of Goddard that has been brewing for a couple years. So I'm really psyched to see something different. I hope it works. O-line's a critical part of all this, obviously. But, the Mannion thing, I mean, John, I'm excited for you to get what you've been clamoring for, probably since the start of our show, which is, and I'm talking 10 years ago, which is that young guy who can embark on trying to put his imprint on the NFL. It's not like he's inventing this thing, but it's going to be whatever his wrinkle is. I mean, one of the things that struck me yesterday, and I forget who said it, but one of the guests on our show made a point to say that Makai Lemon in many ways will play the role that, in Sean McVay's offense has been motion man guy. In recent years, obviously, that's been Puka Nacua. Previously, that was Robert Woods. Robert Woods was one of my favorite players in the NFL. I mean, that dude was freaking tough. One of the things that, the players have talked about already, they sense with Makai Lemon, is there's a toughness there. So, look, I just think it's exciting that it'll be different.
If we have a Puka Nacua toughness there, we've got it made.
I mean, even that Robert Woods was tough. I mean, he could block.
He was so versatile.
He was versatile. Yeah. And I think the thing about Lemon is, that, they're going to, and, as far as the running backs go, it is, it's amazing when you consider how much success the Eagles had throwing the ball to. Okay, I'll go back to my childhood after Wilbert because I was too young to remember the Wilbert thing. But Keith Byers would catch it a ton out of the backfield.
He was amazing.
A ton out of the backfield. And then Deuce would catch it. And then B. West would catch it. And then LaShawn would catch it. Like, it was a huge, huge part of Philadelphia Eagles football. You pass the ball to the running back. And I
think Saquon mentioned it. Saquon mentioned his excitement about being more incorporated in the passing game.
I mean, for him to be here for 2 years, and some of this, so to me, three-pronged element, why it's been so lesser. One, Saquon has had bad hands. Let's be real. Compared to those other guys I just mentioned, his hands aren't exactly the best. Obviously, the structure of the offense didn't lend itself to passing the ball a ton to the back. And I don't think Jalen was the best at the check down, and hopefully that improves. But the reality is, for Saquon to be here for 2 years already, basically be healthy the whole time, and only have caught about 50 passes in 2 years, I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd. So because, James, remember that first game he played? The touchdown he caught?
Of course, yeah.
And we're all like, oh, my God, unleash that. Well, it turned out they unleashed him on the
remember
ground.
the second game he played, right? He dropped the ball to lose the game.
Right, dropped the ball to lose the game. So I'm excited to see, hey, let's lean into that. I'm just excited to see something different. Obviously, we'll find out if it works, right? I mean, we'll find out. But I think it's cool they're embarking on this. They will always have in their back pocket, going back to some of what has worked in the past. It's not like Jalen Rodden decides off the table. It's not off the table. It's not off the table at all. But it'll be minimized, and I think that's good as defense is caught up to some elements there, as Jalen chose to start running less, as Jalen's getting a little older, probably less spry than he was 5-6 years ago when he entered the league. So I'm psyched. I think it's going to be awesome. Let's see what they got. Look, your chance to weigh in today at 215-592-9494 on the Eagles offense, your level of enthusiasm, and ultimately whether you think it'll work. Jonah Cameron, John Ritchie from
And it's
Borgata.
working better in the absence of AJ, which is a relief to me. I was a little worried in that respect.
But I will say this, until last year, that one-on-one thing on the outside, he was superb at it.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a lot of thought of replacing AJ just from last year, and the negative is you're to a certain extent you're replacing what AJ represented for 4 years, which was a tremendous advantage and one of the great skill position players in the history of the franchise. 215.
But we leaned into it too much.
Well, and he became a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So.
And he prevented our quarterback from being the true leader of the offense.